I think we're live.
I think so too. All right,
Well,
let's see. You want to kick things off?
welcome everyone. I know there's a little bit of a lag, so we'll let everyone who's in the chat room. We'll just wait till we see a couple hellos just to make sure you guys are getting the feed. We do have a hashtag for this event. It's going to be ConvertKit, ConvertKit. So if you guys want to chat on Twitter, you can go ahead and do that. The chat is currently at 232, and we max out at 250. So if you can't ask your questions in the chat, then you need.
So too.
Oh, and I can hear myself.
Yeah, you got the video
on that page. But yeah, if you guys can't get into the chat, then just hit us up on Twitter. Let's go ahead and I'm going to introduce myself and then our guest here, and then I think I'll start monitoring the chat and we can get going. How does that sound, Nathan?
Sounds great.
Cool. All right. Well, my name's Patrick. Patrick Rollins. I'm one of the WooCommerce developers. So I work on WooCommerce all day long. And about 6 months ago, I wanted to write a book, or I started to think I wanted to write a book about WooCommerce because there's so many questions. And I stumbled across a book called Authority by Mr. Nathan Barry here. And we're not going to go into all the little bits of authority in this webinar, but we are going to talk about one of the main points, which is all about email marketing and about how you can't just build it and they will come. You need to do some promotion, and how with a little bit of promotion you can get a huge amount of success. So Nathan Barry, why don't you show us all the stuff we can do with email marketing and how we can have awesome, successful online stores.
Sounds good. Yeah, let's see. Let me fire up Keynote and switch over to some slides so I can show you guys some numbers and some other details from all of that. Let's see. Slides should be visible now. So the other thing I was going to say is it looks like our chat did cap out at 250, and so if you want to ask questions, Patrick's going to take a bunch of questions at the end, and he's going to sort out the best questions and all of that. And so if you are made it into the chat, that's great. Ask your questions there. If not, just use hashtag ConvertKit on Twitter, and Patrick's going to monitor that as well. And let's see. I'm just got to sort out where everything is really quick, and then we'll jump in. And I briefly lost. Hold on. There's Keynote. Okay, perfect. So there we go. I'm just going to go into. Oh, this is not working like I expected it to. All right, so what I'm going to do is I had a few computer issues this morning, and so that messed up the way I was planning to present. But normally I present on 2 different computers, so this works out. But oh well. So you'll be able to see all the next slides coming up, but that's okay. So as a quick intro. My name is Nathan, and I got into this whole world of selling digital products through writing books. I wrote my first book, which is called App Design Handbook, and I started that in July 2012 is when I started promoting it. And I didn't know anything about email or marketing products. The one lesson that I learned, though, was if you start teaching, people are going to pay attention, and people will start following you. I had many products beforehand that were complete failures, and so this was one key lesson for me, and I wrote that book, let's see, July 2012. I had no audience whatsoever. By the time I launched it in September, I had an email list of 800 subscribers, and the book launch ended up doing $12,000 in the first 24 hours, and I was very happy with that. And the book continued to sell well. I went on to write 2 more books, including Authority, which is the one Patrick mentioned, which talks all about really how to market and sell books, though it's applicable to all kinds of products. And so it's been a good 2 years. This is a screenshot I took yesterday of my Gumroad dashboard. And so, $500,000 in book sales in the last 2 years is obviously way better than I expected to do. And, I've just been thrilled with what you can do building an online business and all that. And that's just been fantastic. But I credit nearly all of the success or most of the sales and the revenue back to the email list that I've been able to build. And so I've got an email list now of 24,000 subscribers. That fluctuates a little bit day to day as you obviously lose some subscribers as people unsubscribe, and I gain a lot of subscribers every day. And so email has been so powerful at driving ongoing sales that I decided to really focus everything on it. And actually, I talked to a friend who has been doing online marketing and online business for years, and I was just saying, like, I made a comment about how powerful email marketing is, and he was just like, we've known that for a decade. And I 2 years ago I was brand new to it, but we'll get into why it's better than social media, and I'll share a bunch of numbers later. But I was just blown away by the power of email marketing. And so much so that I ended up creating an email marketing company called ConvertKit, which we'll talk about later, because so much of what I saw as the best practices, you weren't actually able to do with some of the common off-the-shelf tools. And so I can tie the vast majority of my revenue in the last 2 years directly to my email list. Highest conversion rates, highest revenue, all of that. It goes back to email. So that's why today we're going to talk about how to use email to get more customers and clients. So let's get a little sound off in the chat. I want to know, how many email subscribers do you have? And people are going to be all over the map, but this will give me a little bit of an idea of where the group's at. So there's a little bit of a delay, and so I'm going to wait just a second and see how many email subscribers you have. So just drop in a number. It could be 0, it could be 500, it could be thousands. I just want to know where everyone's at, and while people are responding to that, I'm going to take a drink of water. Let's see, this will also tell us just how much of a delay there is. All right, Patrick's got 80 email subscribers. It's a good start. 800. All right, 300. Yeah, so we're already all of them at 200 or so. This is good. So the next question is, how many email subscribers do you want to have? Oh, so already Chad's got 28,000. Man, 80,000, 20, 14,000. Yeah, we're 1,100. We're all over the place. So I'm looking for just a second. Some numbers should start coming in of how many email subscribers people want to have. My guess is it's quite a bit higher than people have now. So I want to tell you about a guy named Ryan Neufeld, who he was actually in the first class of ConvertKit Academy that we did, and he was working on a book. And the book that he was working on is called Application Architecture for Developers. So he had read Authority, and he was following that process. And so, as he's going through all of this, he was going through the training and everything that we put with it. He used ConvertKit to build this landing page, and he had some great things to say. First, he had some quick, nice things to say about ConvertKit Academy, about it being a great investment in himself. But then really what he said he got out of it was, he had a focused vision, clear email marketing plan, but after going through ConvertKit Academy, going through all of that training, he got almost 500 subscribers, and that was actually quite a while ago. And so I should update this with his new numbers. I bet it's quite a bit higher. So I always like to think about that, where you are now versus where you want to be, and the path that you could take to get there. But before we get into that, let's talk about why email. And so there's 3 reasons that I absolutely love email. And they come down to this: consistency, conversions, and control. And so the first reason is consistency. And this comes back to a story that happened a little while ago, and that is that I first started to try to build a blog, and when I did that, I wrote a handful of posts on random topics, and then I wrote one post titled "How I Made $19,000 in the App Store While Learning to Code." Before I wrote books, I designed lots of iPhone apps, some of which were successful, many of which were not. And this blog post did really well. You can see this traffic graph right here. It goes up with a huge spike. And I was thrilled to have this traffic. 56,000 visits in 1 month, and that's up from basically 0 visits the month before. Maybe 1,000, I don't know. But looking at this graph, where do you think the rest of the chart goes? Obviously it keeps climbing, right? Because that's what I felt was going to happen. I felt that I had finally made it as a blogger. This was the point in the turning point in my career, and I was really, really excited. But obviously that's not what happened. We have a traffic graph that drops off significantly. Things don't continue as wonderful as I thought. And actually, if you were to just cover up the month of November here, you wouldn't notice anything different in the trend. Like, there's not any kind of awesome improvement here. Traffic dropped back off to near 0. And it wasn't until later, around July 2012, that things started to pick up again. And here's where you pick up consistently. And now going forward, if I were to show you all of 2013 of a chart, and then all of 2014, you'd see much more consistent traffic. And that comes down to one thing, and that's email. So notice how consistent this graph is compared to the graph on the previous page, where it's all over the place. The email subscribers just keep growing quite nicely, and with a few exceptions, email is larger. The email count is larger every month, whereas traffic just doesn't do that. Traffic graphs are all over the map, and you can look at my email subscribers over 24 months, and you see that there's a few times that I lost some email subscribers, but in general, it increases every month, month after month. And so what you find is that email subscribers are like recurring revenue for your audience. So one reason people like SaaS-based businesses or subscriptions is that they can keep getting paid each month from certain customers, and the revenue is predictable instead of being huge spikes and up and down and all of that. You get consistent, predictable revenue. And so by using email, you get consistent, predictable engagement with your audience. So that's the first reason. The second reason is conversions. And this one, I had a feeling about it for a long time, but until I ran this experiment, and ran all these numbers, I didn't know for sure. And so you want to build an audience somewhere. And the reason, really you just want to be able to push out content to them. And you can do that many places: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr. I don't know. There's a ton of places. And so the question is, why email and not Twitter or Facebook? And I got some interesting numbers on conversion rate by traffic source. And this kind of shows you, here's a good reason why email, not Twitter or Facebook. And you can see that YouTube traffic converts at 2.2%, Twitter at 5.4, Facebook at 6.3, and email at 9.4. So email is already fairly close to double Twitter. And these numbers, I should say, are from Gumroad. This is across all of their products, total numbers that they found. And so this is people who came from, say, Twitter and clicked through to a Gumroad purchase page. On average, 5.4% of them will actually convert, which in this case is making a purchase. Now, there's something else, because there's a little bit of information not shown in here. This is people who come from Twitter over to an email, over to a product page. Well, out of all those subscribers, how many people actually see it? And so I went to my own audience for this, and I thought, okay, out of my best performing tweets, how many of my total follower size clicks on that tweet? And what I found is, like, my absolute best performing tweets, I could get a 3.1% click rate. So 3% of my followers would actually click on a link in a tweet. And that's like the absolute best performing tweets. And that's actually when, like, they get retweeted by accounts with tens of thousands of followers, and so that's even just my own audience. But on the email side, with my best engaged lists and things like that, I can easily get 29% to click a link in an email. That's not too hard. And so when you put these numbers together, and to do that, I'll illustrate it with the idea of if we promote a link to 1,000 Twitter followers and 1,000 email subscribers, what you're going to find is that 3.1% or 31 people of the followers will click the link, but 290 email subscribers will click that link. And so you can already see the engagement is way higher. And then when you add in that conversion numbers from Gumroad, you'll see that you're going to make 1.7 sales out of 1,000 Twitter followers, but you can make up to 27 sales from 1,000 email subscribers. And so what that shows is that an email subscriber, at least for my audience, is worth 15 times as much as a Twitter follower. And that's pretty crazy. And so, I also find that it's easier to get email subscribers sometimes than it is to get Twitter followers. So not only is it easier to get them, but they are incredibly more effective for your business and for driving revenue. So the next reason of our 3 C's of why I love email is control. Anybody remember this page right here? Yeah, MySpace. What if you built an awesome, sweet, massive audience on MySpace? Where would you be today? You wouldn't really be in that good of a position. They aren't exactly an industry leader anymore, and that wouldn't be so good. When you build on other platforms, you run the risk of that platform dying out, things being shut down. And so that's a big issue. Even with open platforms like RSS, tons of people saw their RSS numbers take a huge hit when Google shut down their Google Reader. And now let's say you build an audience on a modern platform like Facebook. Well, Facebook recently changed their algorithm so that far fewer of your fans will actually see your post, because now they're trying to get you to pay to boost your post. And so by default, they're only showing each post to about 15% of your followers. So that's pretty crappy already. If only 15% of your followers have a chance to see your post, then it's got to be far fewer than that actually do, and even fewer than that will click a link, engage with your content, or buy your product. So all these things are going to be constantly changing, and you got to ask, what if you built your audience on a dying platform? Here's a wonderful thing about email. If you decide you don't like your email provider, you export a CSV and you import that into a new provider. You own the list. You own the relationship. And if Facebook or Twitter or any of these other providers change their algorithm and completely screw you over or totally die out, then you're okay. Because email is going to last for a long time to come. It's been around for well over a decade, and it will continue to be around for a long time. Okay, so why email? It's consistent and predictable way to grow your audience. It's the highest conversion rate of any platform. And you get to control your audience, and you get to own your list. So let's jump into some tactics. The first one is, if we're talking about growing a list, you need an incentive. And this starts with a question. Why should I join your list? And I'm not giving this question as something like, I'm not being antagonistic with it. It's a simple value statement. What's in it for me? What do I get out of giving you my email address? Think of email addresses as money. It's a small payment. I'm paying you with an email address. You need to pay me something in return. And so that's where an incentive comes in. And here's a few examples. So this is Neil Patel. He blogs about traffic and conversion rates and things like that. And here's his incentive. It's a free course on double your traffic in 30 days. And he's put a value on it, stuff like that. But put in your email address and he'll send you the free course. That's an incentive. Another one is one that I did where I took all the blog posts that I've written on productivity, edited them together into a new short book, and told people, hey, sign up and I will send you that free book. So those are both great ways to get incentives. I'll run through a few others. This is one I've done quite a bit with called A Brief Guide to Selling Digital Products. It's just a lot of lessons learned around fraud and conversion rates and payments and all this stuff over the last couple of years. And you can see I'm using that as an incentive to grow my list. Really quickly, here's a few more. Here's one, a video course that I did. Here's, just like the workshop you're signing up for now, a workshop on email marketing. And then this is a landing page I used when my very first book came out. And here the incentive is learn to design beautiful iOS applications. Sorry, that's the tagline. Really the incentive is sign up to here when the book launches. And that's not a great incentive, but at least I'm saying, hey, there's some reason to put in your email address. And people like being early adopters, and so, first access can work as an incentive. The other thing that I do is, and this was when promoting that first book, at the bottom of every post, I have, a similar call to action of sign up to hear more about the book. Another example of an incentive is this free course that I put out, and it's, instead of being like a PDF or a video course that people download, it's a series of emails that get dripped out to them over time. And here's that interface in ConvertKit. So each lesson, on day 1, day 3, day 5, and so on, teaches them something about how to launch a product, how to validate an idea, that kind of thing. And so those are all a bunch of different incentives. And that answers the question of why should I join your list? You should join the list because I'm going to teach you something useful. Okay. So once you have an incentive, next you need a landing page. And there's 4 things that make for a good landing page. And the first one is a single call to action. So this is these 4 things are the single easiest way I've found to increase the conversion rate, so the number of visitors that end up subscribing on your landing page. And so what I would do here is, what I mean by a single call to action is it's really easy to get into the habit of saying like, you should pre-order my WordPress plugin and sign up for the email list so you'll be the first to hear when it's available, and you should follow me on Twitter. And each one of those is a call to action. You're asking the visitor to do something. And with each one of those, you are you're diluting the call to action by having more of them. And so you'll get a higher conversion rate if you have one thing that you're asking your customers to do. And I think that one thing should be to sign up to the email list. Because once they're on the email list, you can send them emails to teach them more and then get them to pre-order, get them to follow you on Twitter, whatever that is. But focus on getting them on the email list. The second thing is to cut out all the extra fluff. And so that means that, get rid of the sidebar, get rid of the top navigation, all these extra things that are going to take people in different directions. The more of those little things you get rid of, the higher your landing page is going to convert. And so that's why so many landing pages, like this one, are single column, focus on the content, and then at the bottom it's going to have an opt-in form. Here's another example, very targeted. This is the one action to take. Okay, the third thing you should have is a strong headline. So the headline is what's going to get people in the door and get them to keep reading. And so I like to talk about pain. And I don't have an example in this slide deck, but there's a book or a course that somebody did a while ago on Rails security. And so his headline was something about, your Rails application has at least one critical security bug in it right now. Like, that gets my attention, and he knows that software have so many security issues and things like that he can say that with confidence. And then he can go through and follow it up with examples and other things. But that's, a strong headline that gets attention. The next thing that I like to have is a quick, a graphic that says, what's this page about? So like on this page for the App Design Handbook, there's a big graphic of a book. And so I can just look at it at a glance and say, oh, this is the book. For other things, you would have a graphic of maybe an iPhone app or like a web app screenshot. Just something to say, at first glance, what's this about? To give that immediate context. And so I find those four things: a single call to action, no extra fluff, a strong headline, and then a graphic that provides context are the biggest things that will increase the conversion rate on your landing page. Just going to take a quick drink of water. All right, next let's talk about making the sale. So you've got people on your list. There's a few things you need to do to make the sale. You need trust, you need desire, and you need to actually make a pitch. And so I want to show you how I do this automatically through email. If you go to the sales page for my book Authority, there is an email opt-in form about partway down that will give you the sample chapter. And if you sign up and download that sample chapter, you can also leave a box checked to get on an email course. And that email course, is going to teach you more about writing and publishing books and selling online. And this is behind the scenes what that email course looks like inside of ConvertKit. And so you can see that those emails are set to drip out over, on day 2, day 5, day 8, and so on, over 30 days. And so these first 4 or 5 emails, what they're there to do is to build trust and desire. So imagine you come to a landing page, you're like, oh, this is cool, but you don't know anything about it. Like, you click through from Twitter, you don't know anything about the person who wrote the book, so you're partially convinced by the sales page, and you'll download the sample chapter, but maybe you forget about it and don't come back. Well, you start getting these emails, and they start teaching you about topics you care about. And the more you learn, the more you're going to trust the person who's teaching. And so over 12 to 15 days of getting these emails that are nicely timed, then you're going to really start to trust the person doing the teaching. I find that teaching is absolutely the best way to build trust because they get so much value for free up front that they start to make the connection that time and attention paid to this person, this teacher, results in benefits back for me. Excuse me. So then after that, I move into the next email, which is a sales pitch. And it's really hard to make sales unless you have a sales pitch. I know so many people that, just want to build an audience and, be on social media and all this stuff, and they just want to make sales, but without actually doing the work to pitch the benefits of their product and really give an opportunity to buy. And so I spend the first 5 emails or so building up that trust and the desire for the product, and then I have a sales pitch. But then immediately after that, I go right back to educational content. And so this next email is just all about, lessons, that you would learn in authority. And so it's really valuable to share some stories. And then a few days later, there's another sales pitch email. And so each of these is useful on its own, but it's going to, have the desired effect of getting people to come back to the landing page and buy. So this is all perfectly timed to each email subscriber. And so if I sign up today and you sign up tomorrow, each email is timed to us individually. And so it's not like someone's going to get involved in your launch sequence, say towards the end, and miss all the earlier emails. And so these timed emails are amazingly powerful. The other thing is these emails have been going out, making me sales, continually over the last year that this course has been running, and I don't have to do anything. It's interesting, occasionally people will respond to these emails and they'll say stuff like, well, one, they seem like really personal emails, so they think I just wrote it right then. And they'll respond with questions or something, and I'll email back. But it's interesting, just because I'm sending these emails automatically every day to the right person at just the right time, and it does amazingly well for sales. So going through all of this, we talked about the automated sales, how to grow your list, and all of that. And obviously a tool comes into it. So the next question is, can you use just any tool? I obviously don't think so, because I went to all the work of creating a new company, hiring developers, and building a new email marketing company. And the reason I did that is because I was frustrated with the existing tools. So let's jump into why I built ConvertKit, and that will help you understand maybe a little bit more of what goes into good email marketing. So I was using MailChimp at the time, and they were easy to get started with, though I regretted it down the road. But the first thing I found is that there's this best practice, we talked about earlier, of giving out an incentive. You want to be able to sign up and immediately give someone a PDF or access to a course or something like that as soon as they sign up. And MailChimp makes that really hard. You can kind of hack around it, but it involves a bunch of things. Like their system is actually not designed for it, and so it's really frustrating. If you use their translate feature, you can change some button text. It's totally bizarre. And so I wanted to make that really easy because that's such a good best practice. I don't know if you've seen a bunch of people lately giving out opt-in incentives that are really specific to the content. So one example, would be my friend Brian Battles wrote an article on speed reading, and as you read that article, and then at the end he had an email opt-in to give out a cheat sheet on how to speed read, and so it's really, really specific, a really specific incentive to the content of his blogs, and those convert really highly, and so you need to be able to make lots of incentives easily, and MailChimp just makes that completely a pain. And other tools like Campaign Monitor and Aweber and others make that very difficult as well. The other thing is, even if you wanted to have more than one incentive, you can only have one opt-in form or incentive per list. And that's really bad because in MailChimp, you never want to create more than one list because then you can't segment your subscribers. There's all kinds of things that you just can't do. I needed it to make it easy to have lots of lists, lots of forms, and to be able to segment between them. And then the third reason is that it's really difficult to create email courses. So I knew that this kind of email course where you're building up trust and desire over time, have those automated sales pitches, I knew that that worked incredibly well. And I knew that it would make my business a lot of money. But I found myself not creating those courses because in MailChimp, they were so hard to set up. It was totally a pain. Like it wouldn't treat any of the emails as a sequence, and it was so hard to think like, okay, what did I say in the last email? And so what I wanted to do is design an interface. Since my background's in design, I saw this as an easy problem to solve, where you could just see the entire course or autoresponder series, all in one interface. And you click down through the list. You could drag and drop to reorder them, and it would automatically update the days. The nice thing is, you could just click up one email and be like, oh yeah, that's what I wrote in yesterday's email. And you see the whole thing as a sequence rather than all these individual emails. I was actually showing this to Andrew Warner, who runs Mixergy the other day, and he was just like, when he saw this interface, he was like, oh, this is the most obvious thing. Why aren't all the other email marketing providers following this method? So that's why, those are the three reasons that I built ConvertKit. Now, something else surprised me after running ConvertKit for about a year. And what that was is that a good tool wasn't enough. So even having a tool that had all these best practices built in wasn't enough to make people successful. I started to get frustrated because people would cancel their accounts because they weren't, they'd say things like, well, I'm not really using it, I'm not really growing my list. And what I realized is that you need a lot more than just a tool in order to be successful and grow a list. And we've already talked about how once you grow that list, it's so much easier to make sales, and how my email list is what's resulted in $500,000 in sales in the last 2 years. And so at first I was thinking, okay, I'll provide people with the best tool, and that wasn't enough to make them successful. And so I started diving into, okay, what else would it take? And as I started piecing all this together, I called it ConvertKit Academy. And so what I added to it was, first I added a bunch of training. I'm naturally a teacher, and that's what I default to. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to put out this course in ConvertKit Academy that has a bunch of lessons on, exactly what to do to grow an email list, how to create a compelling incentive, how to set that up as an opt-in form, how to get traffic to your landing page, all these things. And now this course is actually like, I think 10 or 12 emails long that just takes you through all the lessons of what to do. So we started with that. And then I would ask, okay, what's holding you back? And people would say things like, well, I have my landing page set up, but I don't have a good graphic for it. It doesn't look good yet. And they always point to my landing pages and say like, oh, they're so well designed, or I love the book cover that you have. And so I ended up creating a bunch of Photoshop templates that people could use in order to make great book graphics, sample chapters, things like that. And so I'd give that to people. And there was still a little bit of an issue if some people didn't have Photoshop, that sort of thing. And so they thought, okay, as part of ConvertKit Academy, we'll design book covers for people. And I'll show you a bunch of them in a little bit. Book covers or whatever graphics will help you out with that process. And we streamlined that process really nicely so we can help each customer with it. And then people, were asking other things, more questions over email. They didn't know how to set certain things up. And it wasn't just questions about how to do email marketing. or I should say questions about ConvertKit, but it's things like, how should I engage with my audience? What should my incentive be? And so we started dividing everyone up in, we went through ConvertKit Academy into groups of just 10 people. And then we get them all on a Google Hangout together and just talk through all those questions. And so you get your questions directly answered, and then you also learn from everyone else's questions. And that turned out to be immensely valuable. And so now, as part of ConvertKit Academy, we do 2 live Hangouts. And then the other thing that we've tacked on quite recently is a 6-month subscription to ConvertKit. So in addition to all of the training, you get the 6-month subscription. And the final thing, and this is something that a bunch of ConvertKit Academy members have talked about, is even the ones who knew exactly what they needed to do in their head, they knew the steps they needed to take to grow their email list and to get started, they found themselves not doing it for a long time. And so ConvertKit Academy gave them this condensed format of time to go through and really take action to grow that email list, get the landing page set up, get their incentive in place, start promoting it. So they had everything they needed. They had the help overcoming any of their obstacles, whether it was designing a landing page, getting stuff set up that way, whether it was training or knowledge on how to get subscribers and having the right tool. They found all their needs taken care of in one place at the right time, so they could truly take action and start seeing some really, really great results. I'll show you a few of those results pretty soon. And so I bundled all of this together for just $300. And the idea here is that I want all the ConvertKit customers to be really successful. That's why I got into this whole game of writing books and teaching and all that, is because I've been blown away with what you can do selling online, and so I want other people to have those benefits as well. And so for the $300, what that includes is 6 months of ConvertKit, which that alone is normally $300 because it's $50 a month, as well as everything that we just talked about: help designing your landing page, help with the incentives, the 2 Google Hangouts, and the entire course on growing your email list. So all of that, we're running a class of ConvertKit Academy just for people who are on this workshop. And if you're interested in signing up for that, you can go to convertkit.com/academy/woothemes, and that is $299. And we're going to close that workshop tomorrow, so about 24 hours from now. In just a minute, we're going to take a bunch of questions, but I'm going to show you some different examples of what people have created with going through ConvertKit Academy and some of the results they've had after the first week. And or in some cases a little longer than the first week, but still really impressive. So this is Ryan Neufeld. I mentioned him earlier. His book, Application Architecture for Developers. He's built an email list of well over 500 subscribers now. He used our book templates to create all of this, and then this is another example. Someone who does quite well renting out apartments on Airbnb, and so he's writing a book about that. And we helped him, design this book cover, get a landing page up, and start getting email subscribers. So I think he had about 40 or 50 email subscribers after the first week of finishing ConvertKit Academy. Here's another landing page that a guy named Jason made. Here's another one, another example of one of the book cover templates or incentive templates. And this is something that we put together for Dennis, and he was so thrilled. Just the fact that we jumped into Photoshop for him, actually live on the call, and made that book cover for him. And it was pretty quick to put together, but it was something that was really hard for him to do, and so it just removed another obstacle for him as far as building an email list. Here's another book that came out um, by a lady named Purnima, and I'm really excited about this one. It's going to launch pretty soon. And then here's a quote from Anthony Gold, who went through one of the earlier batches of ConvertKit Academy. And he said, in 1 week, I grew my email list from 0 to nearly 100 subscribers, all through an upcoming book offer on creating a killer resume and a downloadable tip guide. So here's the landing page that he made with ConvertKit. And we just gave him everything that was needed in order to start building an audience, start selling a book. And that's what's been really, really fun about ConvertKit Academy, is to see all the people that are successful. So if you're interested in joining either ConvertKit or ConvertKit Academy, go to convertkit.com/academy/woothemes. Like I said, that's going to go for about another 24 hours. That we're going to keep that open. Everyone that signs up, we're going to divide into classes of 10 and just take you through, a really hands-on class, how to go through it. You'll get all those timed email lessons sent out to you, and then we'll schedule those 2 Google Hangout calls so you get your questions answered directly. And there's also something that's really fun that we started doing, is we just launched an alumni group. And so we had all these people who went through ConvertKit Academy and had done really well, but then things kind of dropped off after that. There was a little bit that they were on their own once the lessons and all of that ended. And so what we did actually yesterday was we put together the alumni group and got on the very first Google Hangout with a bunch of people. And there was some discussion of how to do certain things with ConvertKit, but really it was just all these people who had had a few months to really let these lessons sit in and start building their list, just sharing their best techniques. There was all kinds of things flying around of how people were using Amazon Kindle and KDP Select and some of these things in order to grow their email list. And lots of people were talking about what they're doing with Twitter cards. And it was just great to hear all these stories of what was working and what wasn't working. And that's the fun thing about the ConvertKit Academy alumni group, which just started. So anyway, that's everything that I've got put together. We're going to take questions in just a second. I think Patrick's got some good ones lined up. And hopefully you can tell that I really care about helping everyone grow their lists, because building an email list and selling products online over the last 2 years has completely changed my life. And I want to see that happen for other people. And so I'm trying to build the tools and training that are exactly what you need to do that. So Patrick, you have some questions. Let's see. Patrick, you there? I can't hear you, but...
Can you hear me now, Nathan?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I switched to audio only, but apparently that wasn't working very well. I have a slightly low bandwidth here, so I'm just trying to keep it as low as possible, but I do have some questions for you.
Okay.
So one of the questions that I had going through your presentation was, when you were showing us your revenue, I think I saw about 7 massive spikes. That was probably when you released your products.
Here, I'll pull that one up really quick.
But then I also saw some minor spikes. I was just curious, what were those? How did those minor spikes come about?
Yeah, so you should be able to see it on the screen now. The major spikes are book launches. Like this is the Design Web Apps book launch. Like this is Authority. And some of these minor spikes are just when I would write about a particular topic. Like somewhere, I think it was right about in here, I had this valley that you can't exactly see, but where sales just totally dropped off. And people ask, well, when was the last time you wrote about design? And because at the time, my books were design books. Actually, that valley is right back here. And so then I got a bunch of spikes, a bunch of little spikes, by writing design tutorials and then sending them out to my list. Because there were a bunch of people on my list that had been reading my stuff but hadn't made a purchase yet. And so by continuing to teach them and send out content, I was able to convert more of them and get more people involved. Some of these other smaller spikes are like little product launches, or if I did a promotion with someone else, that kind of thing. But really, like this one here towards the end is when I basically just sent out an email to my list announcing an update that I had made to the product, and it came with a little tutorial and things like that, and that made a bunch of sales. So it's just constant engagement with the list does really, really well at continuing to drive sales. Hope that helps.
Yeah, interesting. So you gave us some stats about how email is better than Twitter, and I think you said 15% or 15 times better.
Yeah, 15x.
Did you ever? So was that with like a regular?
I lost you for a second. You still there? Okay. Well, I have a little bit of the question that you wrote out in text, and so you're asking for Twitter stats. Was that a normal tweet or a promoted tweet? And that was just a normal tweet that I sent out, so I didn't pay anything for it. And I tried to take into account the social aspect of Twitter, things getting shared. And so actually that tweet that I sent out to my followers, maybe I had 5,000 followers at the time, got retweeted by a bunch of people. And so like the Kissmetrics Twitter account, which is like 100,000 followers, retweeted it. And a bunch of other friends with followers accounts of like 20,000, things like that, retweeted it. And so even then, it reached this huge audience, but to come to that 3.1% number, I only divided the total clicks by my audience. And so really that's my best performing tweet ever. And it got shared to so many people and still performed so terribly. But yeah, that was just a normal tweet, not a promoted tweet. And then, let's see, over chat, Patrick just sent me another question of, what do you think works better, an email course or a free PDF? I think it's totally worth playing around with either one and seeing which works better for your audience. I think there's plenty of different things that could work. You can also do both. And so you can send out a free PDF right away and then follow it up with an automated email course. The one thing that I like is sometimes people push back if you're giving away a PDF, like, why do I need to give you my email address to get a PDF? But if what you're giving away is an email course, then it's pretty obvious that you need to give out your email in order for the email course. So generally my preference is for a timed email course. But you can never give away too much, so why not just give away lots of great content?
Awesome. Nathan, can you hear me now? I can hear you now, so.
Excellent. Yeah, I can hear you great now.
Awesome. So that answered my question very well. So what about people that get less like click-through rates? Let's say you have an email. Let's say you do have an email list of 1,000 people, but you're only getting like 12% click-through as opposed to your 29%. And let's say only 2% of people click the links. How do you?
Yeah. So there's a couple things. I try to maintain a very high-quality list, and so that's why I get much higher click-through rates. And so I make it really easy for people to unsubscribe. And if people unsubscribe, I don't get upset about that because I only want people on my list who want to be there. There's a guy who writes a popular blog, his name is Ramit Sethi, and he actually sent out an email saying, like, please unsubscribe from his list because he was saying, if you're not getting value from what I'm writing, I don't want you to be on my list. And so the more you get the right people on your list, the higher all your stats are going to be. But there's also a function that just over time, your stats are going to decline because, as you get to a bigger audience, some people's emails, will be accounts that they don't use anymore, things like that. But if you're getting really low engagement and you don't have a huge list, let's say of over 10,000 people, and you're getting rates like 10% open and 1% click, I would really look at what content are you sending out. Is this like just all sales pitches? Is this like a roundup newsletter that nobody cares about? Or is it truly valuable content that's targeted at your audience and you really want to read it. Are people excited to get your emails because you're providing so much value? Or are they like, I might take a look at that because the last one was kind of lame, you know? And so if you're getting that low of engagement, look at what you're sending. And I just think hard about whether the value is truly there for your subscribers. And if it's not, up the value. Put more time into your email list. Give them more great stuff for free. And I think you'll recondition them that your emails are worth opening. All right, let's see, Patrick sent me another email over text. Next question is, should your primary nav be on the landing page? Okay, and so to elaborate on that, is saying, should any navigation be there? Maybe just the logo back to the home page. This is up to you. From a purely conversion rate standpoint, you should have no other navigation on your landing page. You're just going to get a higher conversion rate, and it's just going to work. You'll lose fewer people to other pages if you have no navigation. But my background is in usability and user experience, and so sometimes I want a little bit of navigation just so that they can get around if needed. And so with that, I would say, you link up maybe the logo, something like that, to get to the rest of the site, but otherwise keep it minimal. It might be a little bit of a trade-off between the highest conversion rate and optimal usability. Yeah. And let's see. We'll run through. Let's see, that was the last question from Patrick, and I think he just dropped off. Looks like he just lost his bandwidth. I'm going to skim through the chat really quick and see if I can pick up a few more questions if you guys want to drop a few in there. And otherwise, we're pretty close to wrapping up. There's a little collection going on. Oh, that's perfect. What do you think about pop-ups to collect emails? Okay, pop-ups are amazingly effective at getting emails, unfortunately, because they're obnoxious. You show up to a page and that pop-up is right there in your face and you just want to read the blog post and you thought, you know what, maybe I'm done with this. Especially all the pop-ups that don't work well on mobile. That's the one thing that frustrates me so much. Like, I'm trying to read a blog post on my phone and I'm having to scroll sideways to try to find the X to close out a pop-up, and it's terrible. So if you do pop-ups, make sure they're mobile optimized. The other thing is, try to have some really smart rules for when to show them. So maybe you only show them once. Maybe you only show them after the visitor has scrolled all the way down and finished the article. Do it in a smart way. Also, there's this program, I don't remember what it's called, like Bounce Exchange or something like that, that has just the most annoying pop-ups. And because they have language in there and stuff like, do you want to grow your business? Click yes to opt in to learn more about growing your business. And then instead of like a no or a cancel, they have something that's like, no, I hate more revenue. I want my business to fail. And so I see everybody doing, they use that company using super obnoxious language in really obnoxious pop-ups, and that's like the worst way to go about it. If you're going to do pop-ups, have really smart code behind it of when and where to show it. Yeah, there's another question. Can pop-ups be on a timer to pop up after the visitor's been there a couple times or a couple minutes? Yeah, you can control all of that with cookies. And it's worth looking into. There's a lot of neat things that you can do. But yeah, you can control a lot of that. Another question is, what do you think of single opt-in versus double opt-in? I always go with double opt-in, almost always, unless I really trust the source of where everyone's coming from. But double opt-in is going to be better. You're going to get a lower conversion rate. So, there's going to be a certain number of people that just don't opt in, or that don't go into their email, find the link, and all that. But you'll end up with a higher quality list. And then if you ever get someone marked as spam or saying I didn't opt into this, then you can point back to, because Google or like Gmail and others might start to hurt your sending reputation. And you can point back to and say, no, this person confirmed at this time exactly. And anyway, so double opt-in is always better. You could, in some rare cases, single opt-in I think is acceptable. So, yeah, I think that's a good point to end. We're at just about an hour. We cover all this stuff and in ConvertKit Academy, answer so many questions there. And then also, just as you're thinking to grow your list, there's a blog post that I want to share with everybody of a video I recorded a little while ago, and that it's on the ConvertKit blog, but I'll drop in a link really quick. And it's just a video on why to use ConvertKit instead of MailChimp, and you'll see a lot of what I got into, links in the chat now, of the frustrations that I ran into trying to incorporate these best practices into MailChimp and why I built ConvertKit. And, I was talking with my friend Brendan Dunn the other day, and we were talking about how when he and I built our lists, because both of our lists are hugely based around, or our entire businesses are based around email marketing. And we were just talking about, how we built the lists and all of that, and how, it was this long process of trying to figure out the best tools, the best ways to build the list, what worked well, what was a total waste of time, and all this. And it was just this long, meandering path over a couple years to figure out all these best techniques. And so what I've tried to do with ConvertKit and ConvertKit Academy is just build all of that into the software, and then whatever can't be built into software, right into training and everything like that, and help you shortcut that entire process. I'd like to see you build a massive email list, whether large to you is 500 or 5,000 subscribers. I'd like to see you build that in, a matter of months rather than taking a matter of years. Because I know that now I know that this whole process can be completely, you can shortcut a lot of it. And so, big email lists can be built. I'd love to show you how. It's going to take a lot of work and effort on your part. So if you're expecting a magic bullet or something like that, that's not going to happen. But if you're willing to put in the work and you want just the right training and help and tools, check out ConvertKit Academy. The link is convertkit.com/academy/woothemes. And I think with that, we're going to wrap up. We're going to keep that class open for another 24 hours. And then we'll divide everyone up into groups of 10, and then we'll go from there. There's a quick question that I'll answer really quick that just came in from Chad, and he's asking, what do you think about video? If it's a video series, the email autoresponder should link to the video link, or you put the whole course content in the email. I love doing short videos that go out over, like, one per day over a week. And I think it's a really fun format, to learn something cool in 2 minutes. So I think that's great. You can't embed video directly in an email. There's just too many, what's the word I'm looking for? If you've coded for websites cross-browser, and so, you have to deal with Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, Safari, and a few differences, and you're like, oh, it's so annoying that there's 4 different browsers. Well, in email, there's like 25 different clients that render things differently, and many of them won't render video. So in this case, what you do is you link to, I just put a screenshot of a video in there, and then when they click on it, it takes them either to a YouTube player or Wistia or a page on my site that has that embedded. That's what I recommend. And Edge Creative is asking, is ConvertKit like Acton and LeadPages.net rolling into one? Yeah, that's one way you could think about it. The way I think about it is all the tools you need for these best practices in one place. So a lot of those landing pages that I showed you earlier, let's see if I can, I don't know if I can pull some up now. In this incentive section, a lot of these landing pages, like this one right here, that's built with ConvertKit. This one is one of the templates in ConvertKit, and this one is as well. And so yeah, you can set up your landing pages and do all of that directly in ConvertKit. So yeah, Patrick just sent me a text over Skype chat saying that he really enjoyed participating with everybody, and on behalf of Woo Themes, he wanted to thank everybody for coming out. And yeah, I'm available over email. My email address is Nathan. I'll put it in the chat. Nathan at ConvertKit.com. Feel free to get in touch, and I hope also to see you in the next batch of ConvertKit Academy. Thanks, guys.